In this special video, I'll be bringing you two completely separate stories. Since each story is relatively short, I decided to combine them into one video. I hope you have a wonderful time enjoying them. Story 1.
I was 74 years old when my wife died, and I thought my life ended with hers. We'd been married for 50 years, half a century of shared meals, shared beds, shared laughs, shared silences. And then she was gone, and I didn't know how to exist in a world where she wasn't. The house felt too big, the silence too loud. Every room held memories that hurt to look at. I was drowning in grief, and I didn't know how to ask for help. But Susie, even dying, even in her last weeks, was still taking care of me. She left me a list, 7 names, 7 strangers, and a final request that would save my life. Before we dive in, have you ever found support in the most unexpected place? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if you love stories about grief, community, and discovering that we're never as alone as we think, please subscribe so you don't miss our next one. Now let me tell you about the last gift my wife gave me, and how 7 strangers became family. My name is Samuel Pine, and for the first 6 weeks after Susie died, I didn't know what to do with myself. I'd wake up at 6 a.m. because that's what I'd done for 50 years. I'd make coffee for 2 before remembering I only needed 1 cup. I'd set the table for breakfast with 2 plates, 2 forks, 2 napkins, and then have to put 1 set away. Every routine we'd built together became a reminder that she was gone. Our kids came for the funeral, Jordan from Boston, Anna from Seattle. They stayed for a week, helping with arrangements, sorting through Susie's things, making sure I was eating. Then they left, back to their own lives, their own families. They called every few days, asked if I was okay. I always said yes, I was lying. The truth was, I was barely functioning. I'd go entire days without speaking to another person. I'd eat cereal for dinner, standing at the kitchen counter because sitting at the table alone felt wrong. I'd fall asleep in my chair watching television because our bedroom felt too empty. Susie had been sick for 18 months. Cancer, aggressive, the kind that takes everything. By the end, she'd been in hospice care at home. I'd taken care of her, fed her, bathed her, held her hand through the pain. It had been the hardest thing I'd ever done. But at least I'd had a purpose. At least I'd been needed. Now I had nothing. No one to take care of. No reason to get up in the morning beyond the fact that my body still worked, even though my heart didn't. 2 months after the funeral, I was going through Susie's things, slowly, because I couldn't bear to do it quickly, when I found her journal. She'd kept it during the last 6 months of her life. I'd known she was writing in it, but had never asked to read it. It was hers, private. But now, with her gone, I needed to feel close to her in any way I could. I opened it carefully, expecting to find her thoughts about dying, about leaving me, about regrets or fears or hopes. What I found instead was a list. On the last page of the journal, dated 2 weeks before she died, Susie had written 7 names. Next to each name was an address and a phone number, and at the top of the page, a note in her careful handwriting. Sam. These are people who understand. They're waiting, even if they don't know it yet. Please find them. I love you. Always. Sue. I stared at the page, trying to understand. The names meant nothing to me. I didn't recognize a single one. Who were these people? How did Susie know them? I flipped back through the journal, looking for answers. And I found them. In the months before she died, while I'd been focused on her care, Susie had been doing something I'd never known about. She'd been reading the obituaries, not morbidly but purposefully, looking for something specific. She'd been looking for recent widows and widowers. When she found one, someone whose spouse had died in the last year, someone who seemed to be alone, someone whose obituary mentioned no services by request or donations instead of flowers, code for grief too private to share publicly. She'd write down their information, not to contact them. She was too sick for that, but to leave them for me. Throughout the journal were notes in the margins. Thomas Ferris, 68, wife died March 15th, married 42 years. Obituary mentioned he was a veteran. No children listed, probably alone. Hillary Moreno, 71, husband died January 3rd, married 49 years. Obituary said, died at home. She was probably his caregiver, like you are for me. She'll understand. Lenny Kim, 76, wife died April 22nd. Obituary mentioned Alzheimer's. He watched her forget him. He'll need someone who understands long goodbyes. 7 people. 7 strangers who'd lost their partners in the last year. 7 people Susie thought I needed to find. At the bottom of the last page, one final note. You've always struggled to ask for help, Samuel. You've always tried to carry everything alone. But grief like this will kill you if you face it by yourself. These people understand what you're feeling, and maybe you can help each other. Please try, for me. I sat at the kitchen table with that journal open in front of me for over an hour, trying to decide what to do. The idea of calling strangers to talk about grief felt impossible, intrusive. How do you call someone you've never met and say, "My dying wife found your name in an obituary and thought we should be friends"? But Susie had asked, and I'd never been able to say no to her, even now. So 3 days later, I picked up the phone and called the first name on the list. Thomas Ferris answered on the 3rd ring. Hello? Mr. Ferris? My name is Samuel Pine. You don't know me, but... I paused, suddenly unsure how to explain. This is going to sound strange, but my wife passed away 2 months ago, and before she died, she left me your name. She thought maybe we could talk. About loss. About your wife found me in the obituary. His voice was flat. Statement, not question. Yes, I know it's odd. When did she die? June 15th. And you're calling me because? Because she asked me to. She thought I shouldn't be alone in this, and she thought maybe you shouldn't be either. There was a long silence. Then, what did you have in mind? I don't know. Coffee just to talk? Another pause. Okay, there's a diner on Morrison Street. You know it? I do, Saturday. 10 a.m. I'll be there. He hung up. I stared at the phone, not sure if that had gone well or badly, but at least he'd agreed to meet. Saturday morning, I arrived at the diner at 9:55. I didn't know how he looked like, but I saw a man sitting in a booth near the back, coffee in front of him, and assumed it might be Thomas. He was maybe late 60s, wearing a plain button-up shirt and looking like he hadn't slept well in months. I slid into the booth across from him. Thomas Ferris. That's me. Thank you for meeting me. Don't thank me yet. I don't know what we're supposed to talk about. Neither do I. We sat in awkward silence for a minute. The waitress came, poured me coffee, left. Finally, Thomas said, "How long were you married?" 50 years. He nodded. 42 for me? She died in March. Heart attack. Sudden. I didn't get to say goodbye. I'm sorry. Everyone's sorry. Nobody knows what to do with me. He looked out the window. My kids check on me. Friends call sometimes. But they all have lives. Spouses. They go home to someone. I go home to an empty house and her things still everywhere because I can't bring myself to move them. I understand that. Do you? My wife died of cancer. Slowly. I took care of her for 18 months. And when she died, I didn't know what to do with myself. Taking care of her had been my entire life. Without that, without her, I'm just here, existing. Thomas looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw recognition in his eyes, not pity. Understanding. People who haven't lost a spouse don't get it, he said quietly. They say things like, at least you had 50 good years, or time heals everything, or she's in a better place. And I want to scream. Because yes, I had 50 years, and that makes losing her worse, not better. And time just makes you better at pretending you're okay. And no, she's in a better place, but I want her here with me. Yes. The word came out fiercer than I'd intended. Exactly, yes. We sat there, 2 widowers in a diner, and for the first time since Susie died, I felt like someone actually understood. Over the next 2 weeks, I called the other 6 names on Susie's list. Some were hesitant. Some thought I was crazy. But eventually, all of them agreed to meet. Hillary Moreno, 71, whose husband had died of a stroke while she was feeding him breakfast. She'd been his caregiver for 3 years after his diagnosis. Lenny Kim, 76, whose wife had died after a decade-long battle with Alzheimer's. He'd watched her forget him piece by piece. Linda Foster, 69, whose husband took his life 6 months ago. She was drowning in guilt and what-ifs. James and Carol were both on the list separately. They'd lost spouses within weeks of each other and had met at a grief support group but stopped going because it felt too clinical. And Rachel, 66, whose husband had died in a car accident. 8 of us in total. 8 strangers, bound only by grief. I invited them all to my house on a Saturday afternoon in September. I didn't know what would happen. Didn't have a plan. Just Susie's note saying these people needed each other. That first meeting was painfully awkward. 8 people sitting in the living room, most of us over 70, none of us knowing what to say. I'd made coffee, put out cookies, felt ridiculous, like I was hosting a party where the theme was loss. "So," Thomas said finally. "We're the Dead Spouse Club?" Linda let out a startled laugh. "That's morbid, but accurate. I prefer the widows and widowers who don't know why we're here," Hillary said dryly. "Too long," Rachel said. "How about we skip the name and just talk about why we actually came?" Silence. Then Lenny spoke, his voice quiet but steady. "I came because I'm tired of being alone. My kids visit, but they have lives. Friends stopped calling after a few months because they don't know what to say anymore. I go days without speaking to another person, and when I do talk, I have to pretend I'm fine because people don't want to hear that I'm not." "Yes," Carol whispered. "God, yes." People ask, "How are you?" and they want you to say, "Fine." They don't actually want to know that you cried in the grocery store because you accidentally bought his favorite cereal, or that you still set the table for 2, or that some days you don't see the point of getting out of bed. "I talked to her," Thomas said, out loud, like she's still there. "I know she's not, but I tell her about my day, ask her opinion on things. And I know that's crazy." "It's not crazy," Linda interrupted. "I do the same thing." I hear his voice in my head telling me what to do. "Linda, don't forget to lock the back door." "Linda, did you take your medication?" Sometimes I answer out loud. My daughter heard me once and looked terrified. Around the room, heads were nodding. These people, strangers an hour ago, were recognizing themselves in each other. And slowly, carefully, we started to talk. Not about moving on, not about healing, just about surviving. About the loneliness that felt like a physical weight. About waking up and forgetting for 5 seconds that they were gone, then remembering and having your heart break all over again. About people who said, "Let me know if you need anything," but never actually called. About how exhausting it was to pretend you were okay when you weren't. We talked for 3 hours. By the time people started leaving, something had shifted. We weren't strangers anymore. We were people who understood. As Thomas was leaving, he stopped at the door. "Same time next week?" I looked around at the others, saw the same hope I felt reflected in their faces. Yes, same time next week. We met every Saturday after that, sometimes at my house, sometimes at someone else's. No agenda, no rules, just 8 people who understood each other. Gradually it became more than grief support. It became friendship. Hillary taught us all how to make her late husband's famous enchiladas. We spent an afternoon in her kitchen, chopping vegetables and arguing about the right amount of cumin. And for a few hours, we weren't widows and widowers. We were just people cooking together. Lenny brought his guitar one week, said he hadn't played since his wife died but was trying again. He played old songs, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, and we sang along, off-key and unself-conscious. Rachel organized a trip to the art museum, said her husband had loved art, but she'd never wanted to go alone. So 6 of us went together, wandering through galleries, arguing about paintings we didn't understand. Laughing. Thomas organized a poker night. My wife hated when I played poker, but she's not here to stop me anymore. He said it like a joke, but we all heard the pain underneath. We played anyway, badly with penny stakes, making up rules as we went. We celebrated birthdays, brought silly gifts, made bad jokes, showed up when someone was having a hard day and just sat with them. And slowly, so slowly I almost didn't notice, life started feeling less impossible. 6 months after our first meeting, I was getting ready for Saturday gathering when I realized something. I hadn't cried that week, not because I'd forgotten Susie, not because the grief was gone, but because I'd been too busy living to spend all my time mourning. I'd helped Hillary fix her broken fence on Tuesday, had lunch with Thomas on Wednesday, went to Rachel's granddaughter's piano recital on Thursday because Rachel was nervous about going alone. I'd had friends who understood that loving someone who died didn't mean you stopped living. That Saturday, as everyone arrived, I told them what I'd realized. Susie knew, I said. She knew I'd disappear into this house and stop living if I tried to grieve alone. So she found you, all of you. She found people who would understand, who would let me be sad but wouldn't let me give up. She saved my life by giving me you. Hillary's eyes were wet. She saved all of us. She did, Linda agreed. Because we're all still here, still showing up, still trying, and I don't think any of us would be if we were doing this alone. Thomas raised his coffee mug to Susie, who understood that grief shared is grief survived. To Susie, we echoed. My 75th birthday fell on a Thursday in March, 11 months after Susie died. I hadn't planned on celebrating. Birthdays without her felt wrong. She'd always been the one to make a fuss, bake a cake, insist we do something special even when I said I was too old for parties. But on Wednesday night, Hillary called. We're coming over tomorrow. 6 p.m., don't argue. Hillary, I don't need. Not negotiable, Samuel. It's your birthday. You're not spending it alone. She hung up before I could protest. Thursday at 6, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find all 7 of them on my porch. Hillary carrying a casserole, Thomas holding a store-bought cake, the others with various dishes and bottles of wine. Surprise, Rachel said. We're invading your house. I can see that. They filed in, taking over my kitchen like they'd done it 100 times before. Which honestly they had. My house had become the default gathering spot, partly because it was centrally located, partly because I had the most space. Within 20 minutes, my dining room table was covered with food. Hillary's enchiladas, Lenny's wife's japchae recipe he'd learned to make after she died, Linda's famous potato salad, Thomas's spring rolls. This is too much, I said, even as I helped set out plates. It's your birthday, Carol said firmly. We were just sitting down to eat when the doorbell rang again. I frowned. Are we expecting anyone else? I'll get it, Thomas said, standing. He opened the door and I heard a familiar voice. Hi, I'm looking for my dad. My son Jordan appeared in the doorway, my daughter Anna right behind him. I stood up so fast I nearly knocked over my chair. Jordan, Anna, what are you doing here? Surprising you for your birthday, Anna said, coming in and hugging me. Jordan looked around the dining room at the 7 faces he didn't recognize, all watching this reunion with interest. Dad, you didn't tell us you'd made friends. There was something in his tone. Surprise, maybe concern, definitely confusion. Everyone, these are my kids, I said. Jordan and Anna. Jordan, Anna, this is... I gestured around the table. Thomas, Hillary, Linda, Rachel, Lenny, James, and Carol. We've been meeting for the past year. Nice to meet you, Anna said politely, but I could see questions in her eyes. Please, join us, Hillary said, already getting up to grab more plates. There's plenty of food. Dinner was slightly awkward at first. My kids were clearly trying to figure out who these people were and why I'd never mentioned them. The group was being polite, but I could feel them watching Jordan and Anna, assessing. It was Thomas who finally broke the tension. Your dad probably didn't tell you about us because he's private, he said to Jordan. But we've become pretty important to each other over the last year. We're all widows or widowers. We meet every week, help each other through the hard days. Oh, Anna said quietly. I didn't know Dad was... we call every week, but he never said that he was struggling. Linda finished gently. Most of us didn't tell our kids how hard it was either. Not because we don't love you, because we don't want to burden you. Jordan looked at me. Dad, you weren't burdening us. We wanted to help. I know that, I said. But you have your own lives, your own families. I didn't want to be the sad widower father you had to take care of. So instead you found other widowers to take care of each other? Anna's voice cracked slightly. Dad, why didn't you tell us you needed this? Because I didn't know I needed it, I admitted. Your mother knew. She's the one who found them for me. And then, because my kids deserved to understand, I told them about the journal, about the list Susie had left, about how she'd spent her final months making sure I wouldn't be alone. By the time I finished, Anna was crying. That's so, Mom, she whispered. Even dying, she was taking care of everyone. She was, Hillary agreed. And she was right. Your father needed us. We all needed each other. Has he told you about poker night? Thomas asked, clearly trying to lighten the mood. Poker night? Jordan looked at me with surprise. Every other Tuesday, Thomas said proudly. Your dad's terrible at it, but we keep inviting him back. I'm not terrible, I protested. I'm strategically conservative. You fold every hand where you don't have a pair, Rachel said. That's not strategy. That's fear. Everyone laughed. and I saw Jordan and Anna start to relax. After dinner, while we were eating the cake Thomas had brought, Jordan pulled me aside into the kitchen. "Dad, I need to apologize." "For what?" "For not realizing how alone you were. Anna and we thought you were okay. You always said you were fine when we called. We should have known better." "Jordan, I was barely holding it together when I talked to you. I was very good at lying about being fine. You couldn't have known. But these people knew. They helped you. And we didn't even know they existed. That's not your fault. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to worry. You live in Boston. Anna's in Seattle. You have your own lives, your own problems. I didn't want to add to that. Dad?" Jordan's voice was firm. "You're our father. You're never a burden. And I'm glad you have these people, I really am. But next time you're struggling with anything, please tell us. Let us help." I nodded, throat tight. "I will. I promise." He hugged me then long and hard. "Happy birthday, Dad. Mom would be really proud of you. Of this." He gestured toward the dining room where laughter was echoing. "Building a new group of friends." "She built it," I said. "I just followed her instructions. You showed up. That's the hardest part." Back in the dining room, Anna was deep in conversation with Hillary and Linda about something that had them all laughing. Rachel was showing Lenny photos of her granddaughter on her phone. Thomas and James were arguing good-naturedly about the best way to make coffee. It looked like family, felt like family, and for the first time since Susie died, I felt something that wasn't grief or loneliness or just getting through the day. I felt grateful. Anna caught my eye and smiled, mouthed, "I like them." I smiled back, "Me too." Later, after everyone had left and it was just me and the kids cleaning up, Anna said, "Dad, I'm sorry we haven't been here more. I know phone calls aren't the same as actually being present. You have lives," I said. "Jobs, families. I understand that." "We could visit more often," Jordan said. "Maybe once a month instead of once every few months. I could bring the kids more often. They miss you. I'd like that." "And Dad?" Anna paused in drying a dish. "Thank you for letting us meet your friends. For letting us see that you're not just surviving. You're actually living again." "I'm trying to. Some days are easier than others. But having them helps. Having all of you helps." Jordan put his arm around my shoulders. "Mom knew what she was doing, leaving you that list. She always did." We finished cleaning in comfortable silence, and for the first time in 11 months, my birthday didn't feel like just another day to get through. It felt like a celebration of survival, of community, of the fact that life continues even after devastating loss. A year after Susie died, I went to visit her grave. I hadn't been since the funeral. It had felt too hard, too final. But now I stood there looking at her headstone, and I wasn't alone. The whole group had come with me, not because I asked, but because they knew I needed them. "I did what you asked," I told her, feeling foolish talking to a piece of granite but doing it anyway. "I found them. And you were right.
They saved me."
We saved each other. "We're going to keep meeting," Hillary said, standing next to me. "Every Saturday. For as long as we need to. Maybe forever." "Probably forever," Thomas added. "You're all stuck with me now." "Could be worse," Rachel said. "At least you're not boring." We stood there for a while. 8 people who'd been strangers but were now family. And I thought about Susie, about how she'd used her last months not just to prepare to die, but to prepare me to live without her. That's love, I realized. Real love. Not just the 50 years of marriage, the daily choosing of each other, but this, making sure the person you love won't be alone when you're gone, giving them what they need, even after you can't be there to give it. Yourself. She'd given me community, purpose, friendship, a reason to keep going. She'd given me 7 strangers who became my family. 2 years later, our group is still going strong. We've added 3 new members, people we met through mutual friends or at grief support groups who needed what we had. We don't just meet on Saturdays anymore.
We text throughout the week.
Help each other with errands. Celebrate holidays together. We've become each other's emergency contacts, each other's family. Last month, Thomas was hospitalized with pneumonia. Every single one of us took shifts sitting with him, brought him terrible homemade food because he complained the hospital stuff was worse, made him laugh when he felt like hell. When he came home, Hillary organized a rotation. Someone checked on him every day, brought groceries, made sure he was taking his medication. "This is what family does," she said when Thomas tried to protest that we were doing too much. And she was right. We were family, not by blood but by choice, by shared grief that had transformed into shared life. I still miss Susie. Every single day. There are still moments when I see something funny and turn to tell her before remembering she's not there. Still mornings when I wake up reaching for her side of the bed. The grief hasn't disappeared. I don't think it ever will. After 50 years together, losing her left a hole that nothing can fill, but I'm not drowning in it anymore, because I have people who understand, who let me be sad on hard days but won't let me give up, who know that grief and joy can coexist, that you can miss someone desperately and still laugh, still live, still find meaning. Susie knew that. That's why she left me the list. She knew that I'd need people who understood, but I'd never ask for help. So she found them for me. 7 strangers who became my lifeline. And now, when new widows or widowers join our group, lost and drowning in fresh grief, I tell them what Hillary told me that first day. It doesn't stop hurting, but it stops hurting alone. And that makes all the difference. Have you ever discovered unexpected friendship during a difficult time? Share your story in the comments below.
Story 2.
I'm staring at a frozen turkey dinner in a plastic tray. Single serving. Actually, Salisbury steak, not turkey, because the store was out of turkey dinners by the time I got there this morning. This is what Thanksgiving has become. My name is Thomas Jenkins. Tom to anyone who knew me when I was younger. Mr. Jenkins to the few people who still talk to me now. I live alone in a 3-bedroom house in the suburbs. The house is too big. Has been for 2 years. Ever since Josephine died. My wife of 47 years. Gone. Pneumonia, of all things. Something so ordinary. So preventable, the doctors said. But she was stubborn. Waited too long to go to the hospital. That was Josephine. Stubborn, strong. The center of everything, including Thanksgiving. She loved this holiday. Loved everything about it. The cooking, the decorating, the hosting. Our house was always full. 20, 25 people some years. Cousins, friends, neighbors. Josephine never turned anyone away. "There's always room for one more," she'd say, squeezing another chair around the table. The table that now sits in my dining room. Empty, dusty. I haven't eaten there in 2 years. I eat in front of the TV now. Alone. My kids wanted to come this year. Leah called last week. She's in California now. Marketing executive. Busy life. "Dad, Carson and I want to fly in. We can do Thanksgiving together." "Don't be ridiculous," I told her. "You have your own lives. I'm fine." "You shouldn't be alone." "I'm 70 years old, Leah. I've been alone before. I'll survive." That was a lie. I haven't been alone before. Not like this. Carson called 2 days later. My son lives in Chicago. Architect. Also busy. "Dad, Leah told me you said no, but we really think—" I said, "I'm fine, Carson. I don't need babysitting." "It's not babysitting. It's Thanksgiving. It's just another Thursday." I hung up before he could argue. Because the truth is, I can't do it. Can't sit at that table with my kids and pretend everything's okay. Can't watch them try not to cry when they look at their mother's empty chair. Can't be the reason they're sad on a holiday. Better to be alone. So here I am, 4:47 p.m. on Thanksgiving. Microwaving a frozen dinner that isn't even turkey. The house is quiet. Too quiet. I turned off the TV because the Thanksgiving specials were too cheerful. All those happy families. All those perfect meals. I eat at the kitchen counter, standing up. Takes 6 minutes. Then I go to the living room, sit in my recliner. The one Josephine always said was too ugly for the living room, but she let me keep anyway. I turn on the TV. Find a football game. Don't care who's playing. This is fine. This is manageable. I'm fine. Have you ever pushed people away because letting them in hurt too much? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more stories about loss, connection, and Thanksgiving miracles, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss our next story. At 5:43 p.m., someone knocks on my door. I ignore it. Probably kids selling something. or neighbors I don't know inviting me to something I don't want to attend. They knock again, harder. I groan, turn off the TV, walk to the door. Through the peephole I see a man, 30s, holding a foil-covered pan. Behind him a woman holding a child's hand. Behind her an older woman carrying a casserole dish. I don't know them. I open the door a crack. Yes. Hi, Mr. Jenkins? The man smiles, warm, anxious. I'm Brady Washington. We live next door. The yellow house. Okay. I'm so sorry to bother you, but we have an emergency. I don't have jumper cables. No, it's our kitchen caught fire. I blink. Fire? Small fire. The woman, his wife I assume, steps forward. The oven had an electrical issue. It's out now. The fire department came. Everyone's fine. But they said we can't go back inside for at least 4 hours. Something about ventilation and electrical safety. I'm sorry to hear that. I start to close the door. Wait. Brady puts his hand on the doorframe. Not aggressive, but desperate. Please. We have all our food. It's cooked. Most of it. The turkey just needs another hour in the oven, and we have nowhere to go. All the restaurants are closed. We have my mother-in-law and our daughter. He gestures to the little girl. 6 years old. Big eyes. Scared. We just need to use your oven, the wife says. That's all. We'll be in and out, I promise. We won't bother you. I look at them. Really look. Young family, stressed, holding Thanksgiving dinner in foil pans and casserole dishes. A little girl who doesn't understand why they can't go home. Josephine would have let them in immediately. She would have already taken the casserole dish and been ushering them inside. But Josephine isn't here, and I don't want strangers in my house. I'm sorry, I say. I can't help you. Please, the older woman, the mother-in-law, speaks for the first time. We don't have anywhere else to go. There are hotels with kitchens? Brady's voice cracks. On Thanksgiving, sir? I know this is an imposition, but we're desperate. It's just a few hours. Please. The little girl looks at me. Please, sir. I close my eyes. Damn it. Fine. I open the door wider. Come in, quickly. They flood in like a dam broke. Brady and Angela, the wife, carry in dishes. Carol, the mother-in-law, follows with more food. Zoe, the daughter, trails behind clutching a stuffed turkey. My house, which has been silent for months, suddenly sounds like a hurricane. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Angela says, heading straight for the kitchen. We'll be so fast, I promise. You won't even know we're here. Lie. I already know they're here. They take over my kitchen. Angela opens the oven, checking the temperature. Brady sets the turkey on the counter. Carol starts rearranging my fridge to make room for sides. Sir, do you mind if we use your counter space? Brady asks. I mind everything about this situation. He freezes. But you're already here, I add. So do what you need to do. Thank you. Really. We'll be out of your hair soon. I retreat to the living room, sit in my recliner, turn the TV back on, but I can hear everything. Okay, turkey goes in at 3:50. Should be done by 7, Angela said. Do we have the thermometer? Brady asked. In my purse. Zoe, stop touching things. Carol warned. I'm not touching. I'm looking. The sounds of Thanksgiving. The sounds I've been avoiding. I turn up the TV volume. 15 minutes later, Zoe appears in the living room. She stands in the doorway, staring at me. Can I help you? I ask. Mommy said not to bother you. Then why are you here? I wanted to see what you look like. You can see me from the kitchen. Not really. She walks closer, studies me like I'm a museum exhibit. Are you sad? What? You look sad. I'm not sad. I'm watching TV. My teacher says sometimes people watch TV when they're sad because they don't want to think. Smart teacher. I don't like her. Go back to the kitchen, kid. My name is Zoe. Go back to the kitchen, Zoe. Okay. She turns to leave. then stops. Are you eating Thanksgiving dinner? I already ate. What did you have? Food. What kind of food? The kind that's none of your business. She tilts her head. Mommy says when people are mean, it's because they're hurting. I stare at this 6-year-old child who apparently has a psychology degree. Your mother is very wise. Now go away. Okay. She skips back to the kitchen. At 6:15, Brady appears. Mr. Jenkins, I'm sorry to interrupt. What now? Do you have any sage? We forgot to pack it and the stuffing needs spice cabinet left of the stove. Thank you. He disappears. Returns 2 minutes later. Also, do you have aluminum foil? We ran out. Drawer under the oven. You're a lifesaver. He leaves again. I hear Carol's voice. Angela, taste this. Does it need more pepper? Maybe a little. Where's the pepper? Mr. Jenkins, do you have spice cabinet? I yell from the living room. Right, sorry. This is exactly what I didn't want. Chaos, noise, people needing things, people being alive in my house. At 6:45, something burns. I smell it before I hear the panic. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Angela's voice. I get up, walk to the kitchen, smoke pouring from the oven. What did you do? I demand. The rolls! I forgot about the rolls! Angela pulls out a tray of charcoal black bread. I'm so sorry, I got distracted with the green beans and… You ruined my oven. No, it's fine. It's just the rolls. The oven is fine. Brady opens windows. Carol fans smoke with a dish towel. Zoe stands in the corner looking terrified. I walk to the pantry, pull out a bag of frozen rolls. Here. I toss them on the counter. 20 minutes at 3:75. Angela stares at the bag, then at me. You had rolls? Josephine always kept extra in case of emergencies, and I got used to buy it. Josephine? I don't answer. Go back to the living room, but I hear Carol whisper, Who's Josephine? I don't know. His wife, maybe, Brady says. I saw photos. I think she passed away. Angela completed. Silence. Then Carol. Oh, that poor man. I turn up the TV volume again. At 7 Haum, the turkey is done. I know because I hear the thermometer beep and Angela cheer. Perfect, 165. Carol, can you help me with the gravy? Brady asks. I'm on mashed potatoes. Ask Mr. Jenkins. I'm not asking him again. He's already… I'll do it, Angela says. Sounds of cooking, laughter. Zoe singing something off-key. The smells are overwhelming. Turkey, sage, butter, all the things that Josephine used to make. My chest hurts. At 7:20, Brady appears in the doorway again. Mr. Jenkins. What? We just got the call. Our house is cleared. We can go back. Good. We're packing up now. We'll be out of your way in 10 minutes. Fine. He doesn't leave. Thank you, he says quietly. You didn't have to help us, but you did. We won't forget that. You're welcome. Now go. He nods, leaves. I hear them in the kitchen, packing, cleaning, talking quietly. Do we have to go? Zoe asks. Yes, baby. Mr. Jenkins wants his house back. But he's all alone. That's his choice, Zoe. They're at the door, arms full of dishes, ready to leave. I stay in the living room. Don't get up. Mr. Jenkins, Angela calls, we're leaving. Thank you again. I don't respond. The door opens. Then Zoe's voice, small and sad. Bye, Mr. Jenkins. I hope you're not sad anymore. The door closes. Silence. The house is quiet again. I sit in my recliner, surrounded by the smells of Thanksgiving, the smells of life. And suddenly I can't breathe. This is what Josephine wanted. Always. A full house. Laughter. Chaos. Life. And I sent it away. I stand up, walk to the window, watch the Washington family walk down my driveway, carrying their Thanksgiving dinner. Going home. Zoe looks back, waves. I don't wave back. They disappear into their house next door, and I'm alone again. Exactly what I wanted. Right? I walk to the kitchen. They cleaned everything. Spotless. Better than it's been in months. On the counter, there's a note. Mr. Jenkins, thank you for saving our Thanksgiving. You're a kind man. We're in the yellow house next door if you ever need anything. The Washingtons. Next to the note, a plate covered in foil. I lift the foil. Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, green beans, cranberry sauce, a roll. They left me a plate. A full Thanksgiving dinner. I stare at it. Then I sit down at the kitchen counter, and I cry. For the first time since Josephine died, I cry. Not because I'm alone, but because for 3 hours I wasn't. And I sent them away. The next morning I wake up at 6 a.m. out of habit. The house is quiet. As always, I make coffee. Sit at the kitchen counter. Stare at the empty plate from last night. I ate the entire meal, standing at this counter, in silence. It was the best food I've had in 2 years, not because of the cooking, but because it was made with love, for family, and they shared it with me, a stranger who was rude to them, who made them feel unwelcome, and they still left me a plate. I think about Zoe's question, "Are you sad?" Yes. Yes, I'm sad. But more than that, I'm tired. Tired of being alone. Tired of pushing people away. Tired of pretending I'm fine. Josephine wouldn't want this. She'd be furious with me. "Tom Jenkins," I can hear her saying, "you're being a stubborn old fool." She's right. I look out the window, at the yellow house next door. Make a decision. That afternoon I do something I haven't done in 2 years. I cook. Not much. Just a simple apple pie, using Josephine's recipe, the one she made every Thanksgiving. My hands shake as I roll out the dough. I haven't done this since she died, but I remember, muscle memory, her voice in my head. "More flour, Tom. Don't overwork it." The pie goes in the oven. 50 minutes later, it's done. Golden brown. Perfect. I let it cool. Then I walk next door. Ring the doorbell. Brady answers, surprised. "Mr. Jenkins?" "I made pie." I hold it out. "Thought your family might want some. As a thank you for yesterday." His face transforms. "You didn't have to." "I know, but I wanted to." "Come in, please." "I don't want to intrude." "You're not intruding." Angela appears behind him. "Mr. Jenkins." "Oh, you made pie. Brady let him in." Before I can protest, I'm inside. Their house is warm. The opposite of mine. "Zoe," Angela calls. "Mr. Jenkins is here." Zoe runs in, sees me, grins. "You came." "I brought pie." "I love pie." Carol appears from the kitchen, wipes her hands on a towel. "Mr. Jenkins, good to see you again." "You too, ma'am." "Call me Carol. We're neighbors." Brady takes the pie. "This smells incredible. Did you make this?" "My wife's recipe. She was the baker in the family." "Josephine?" Angela asks gently. I nod. "Yes, she passed 2 years ago. I'm so sorry." "Thank you." Silence. But it's not uncomfortable. Then Zoe tugs my hand. "Do you want to see my room?" "Zoe, Mr. Jenkins probably—" Angela starts. "I'd love to," I say. I spend 2 hours at the Washington house. Zoe shows me her room, her toys, her drawings, talks nonstop about school and friends and her favorite color, purple. We eat pie together, all of us. Around their dining table, they ask about Josephine, not intrusively, but genuinely, and I tell them about our 47 years together, about how she loved Thanksgiving, about how empty the house has been. My kids wanted to come this year, I admit, but I told them no. I thought it would be easier alone. "Was it?" Carol asks. "No, it was horrible." "Then why did you choose it?" "Because being with them, sitting at that table without her, it would hurt too much." "So you chose a different kind of hurt," Brady says quietly. He's right. Angela reaches across the table, puts her hand on mine. Mr. Jenkins, Tom. Grief doesn't get easier when you're alone. It just gets quieter. My throat tightens. I know. You don't have to be alone, she says. Not if you don't want to be. That becomes the start. The next week, Carol brings over soup. Made too much, she claims. Lie. She made it for me. The week after, Zoe rings my doorbell. Want to help me with my homework? It's about fractions and Daddy doesn't understand. I help her. Turns out I'm pretty good at explaining fractions. December arrives. Brady asks if I want to come over to watch football. I do. By Christmas, I'm having dinner at their house twice a week. They are not replacing Josephine or my kids, but filling the space, making the quiet less loud. The following Thanksgiving, I host. For the first time in 3 years, I clean the dining room, set the table, Josephine's good china, the tablecloth she embroidered. The Washingtons arrive at 3 p.m. Brady brings wine, Angela brings flowers, Carol brings her famous sweet potato casserole, Zoe brings a drawing she made, me and her, labeled Best Friends. My kids come too. Leah flies in from California with her husband and daughter. Carson drives from Chicago with his girlfriend. They meet the Washingtons. There are hugs, laughter, chaos. Zoe and my granddaughter Megan are running around. The house is full again. 20 people wouldn't fit, but 10 does. Perfectly. We cook together. All of us. Brady makes the turkey. Angela handles sides. Carol supervises. Leah makes rolls. Carson carves. And I make the gravy, using Josephine's recipe. At 6 p.m. we sit down. I look around the table. At my children. At my neighbors who became family. At the little girl who asked if I was sad. I'm not sad anymore. Before we eat, I say, I want to say something. Everyone quiets. Last year, I was alone, by choice. I thought being alone would hurt less than being with people and missing Josephine. Leah's eyes fill with tears. I was wrong, I continue. Being alone didn't make the grief smaller. It just made the world smaller. I look at Brady, Angela, Carol, Zoe. Then these people knocked on my door, with an emergency, needing help, and I almost said no. Almost sent them away. But you didn't, Zoe says. No, I didn't, and that decision changed everything. I raise my glass. I'm grateful for second chances, for strangers who become family, for little girls who ask hard questions, for neighbors who make too much soup, and for a wife who taught me that love doesn't end when someone dies, it just changes shape. Brady raises his glass. To Josephine. To Josephine, everyone echoes. We drink, then we eat, and the house is full of life again, the way it should be, the way Josephine would have wanted. Have you ever found family in the most unexpected place? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story about loss, connection, and finding family in unexpected places moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about second chances, community, and the moments that change everything. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss our next story. Thanks for watching, and we see you in the next one.